But in other great news, depending on if you're on the German or Soviet side in this battle, in this war, the Soviets have reached down to Turkey, which is a neutral country, but they still have. Actually nice models. That's a Bulgarian tank. Oh, is that a Land-Lease British troop transport? Is it semi-motorized? It's actually look really nice. People are asking, why are you using unit models instead of counters? This is why. It actually looks more alive. And if you really want counters, you can just zoom out like that. It feels more alive and like an actual war. If you look at it like this. That's a lot of stars. Are they starstruck or what are they? There we got some Soviet tanks too. Oh, they managed to retake in the border of Finland. There's a lot of Finnish flag in that pile over there. Here up too. The Finnish have actually taken Murmansk. Well, they're good for something. Unlike the treacherous Swedes, which betrayed Norway and let the Germans use their land to attack them. Why are Finnish horses moving through northern Germany? Not through Denmark and Öresund. Through Skåne, to Småland, and up through middle Sweden. Well, guess it's their right. Well, here's how the front looks like. Pretty hard to fit it all in right now. But in the meantime, has anything happened in Australia? Have they lost completely? They have lost the easternmost part of Australia, and somehow they have absolutely failed to make any sort of advances in New Zealand. They got 3 mountain troops, the rest of headquarters, 4 of them in total. 3 mountain troops and 1 engineer against the competence of New Zealand by actually having a real army with 1 cavalry and 1 infantry unit. At least the New Zealanders actually tried, in comparison with Australia, which we surrender, just conquer us. If you look at Australia's surrender programs, it's 79-60, with a 63 and 7% of the important cities occupied, and with a national unity of 80%. Yes. Australia. Yes. Indeed. The Soviets have been pushed back in Bulgaria and from the Turkish border, and is now back in Romania. Also, Yugoslavian uprising. I haven't checked, but the US is at war with Japan. Are they? Well, they are. Yes, they are. They are members of the Axis, so well, the Axis have the limited war they can declare. So, well, yes, they are. and maybe for if we change to Germany. To see the diplomatic map, we can see which countries in the world are at war with each other. It's the usual World War II stuff. But let's not go too deep into South America. There may be some surprises down there I'm not ready to show off yet. Maybe. We'll have to wait and see. He finally lost Estonia and managed to get cut off. Let's see the stats again. Soviet surrender progress is down to... Oh, it's still 2020, or was it 2060 history we looked? With 16.1% of the important cities occupied. The German army and their theaters, which are they managed to combine their continental European theaters. So in Oslo they got 197,000 men. It's also their theater for Finland, except this part around Leningrad here. And in Krakow, their main headquarters and theater, they actually, according to the ratio, outnumber the enemy. But that doesn't seem to actually be accurate most of the time. But they got 1,029,000 men. 1,029,000 men. Must be good for something. It's certainly an increase. But at the same time, you have to remember, these are one theater now. So they haven't actually increased from 700,000 to a million, an increase of 300,000. They were actually combined their theaters. So before they had around 400,000 I believe at the Western Front, and by combining them into the Eastern Front they should have gotten 1,100,000. And since they are 70,000 away from that, even by combining the two theater, they are still at a loss. So, despite the deceiving numbers, it's not going good for Germany. And for the Soviet side, we can check this Arkhangelsk theater first, because 315,000 troops, which is more than the Germans got in their Oslo HQ, where they had 197 it was. So 197,000 against 315,000. 315,000 against 197,000. And for the main Soviet Eastern Front headquarters, the Smolensk headquarters, we have 1,761,000. Around 730,000 more troops than the Germans. And according to this, a pretty equal power ratio. But since we have compared them both, and we know that the Soviets has a superior advantage, this power ratio is not really actually correct. But they can actually contain the numbers of airplanes, artillery and other beyond basic infantry units. So perhaps it is actually correct. But if you go by the numbers alone, the Soviets does indeed have an advantage. And if you look at the manpower, which have reduced from the double, they still got a lot of manpower left. Compared to the Germans 403, with a monthly gain of 55. With the Soviets 2,759 and a gain of 67. So 2,759 against 403. Someone of them have an advantage over the other. I'm gonna guess it's the one with the higher numbers. It's not only the manpower itself, it's actually the units they have in the field too. Let's see something different. Let's go to the German production. What do they actually produce? Destroyers, Panzergrenadiers, which is every single unit thrown into one division, Panzer division, escorts, fighters, what's this? More Panzergrenadiers. Is easy. Just let me, see one brigade. Is every brigade into one. Mountain division, convoys, one heavy armor. They are not really producing anything. Not so much really. The Germans got an industry of a base industry of 197 and right now available 339. Pretty good. And they're also using everything of it, letting nothing go to waste. They're even running a deficit of supplies needed, but they have a reserve of supplies, so this goes well for now. And the production is actually not enough for these troops. Well, the Panzergrenadiers division must be really demanding in that case. Yes, 21 IC. Is that really worth it? Is quality better than quantity? Eternal debate. Well, it's the story of German and Soviet into one, so let's compare that to the Soviets. The Soviets got 183 base IC. They also received a huge amount of lend-lease of 0. Thank the USA for that. Thanks, Obama. Or more accurately, thanks, Roosevelt. $183 base IC and 297 available IC, which is less than the Germans. I don't know what the base IC was for the Germans. They're producing heavy armor division and some kind of they're motorized divisions, so perhaps somewhat not exactly. I believe Gauge division would be a better equal. No, I don't know how to say that. A better comparison. Better. I forgot the word for it. It's the same units for the Soviets as this for the German first. It's their take on it, but not really. They are in practice. It's their same kind of unit because it's what they're producing, both of them. But in specifics, it's not the same kind of unit. That's actually a guard division though. Take what I say as you wish. It don't make any sense anyway. You may or may not have understood by this point in the video and stopped watching. Is that a transport plane? I believe that's a transport plane. Are we gonna see some paratrooper action? Are they suddenly gonna, on the 7th of May, drop down in parachutes, land on the Reichstag, and secure Berlin? Is that what's gonna happen? Maybe. We'll have to see. Anyway, the base IC for the Soviets was 183, the available was 297, and that compares to the Germans. 183 for the Soviets in base IC, and 197 base IC for the Germans. 339 available IC for the Germans. A difference in 40 IC in available IC for the both of them in favor of Germany. 297 for the Soviets, 339 for the Germans. With the understanding what's the industrial situation is behind the countries, we can move on and see how Germany is defeated by the Great Soviet Bear. Or was it vodka? The Soviets are being pushed out from Romania. In the northern front, in Estonia and Leningrad, it's not going too well for the Germans though. In other news, Australia, what has happened? Over to our Australian reporter, which tell us that we have an Australian domination by the Japanese. How have they not surrendered yet? Seem to have surrendered. They are a government in exile, but still they have these. So who knows what's going on? Is it actually possible? No, it isn't. You can't actually reach these from the land. It's not possible. They actually have to reach them with by sea. That's the reason they have not fallen yet, and also not retaken the rest of Australia. What's this? The Germans are on offensive on the southern front